If you have a bike shop that sells only new bicycles, you are actually making a huge mistake. Most shop owners turn their nose up at the idea of selling used. However, the truth is the advantages are hard to ignore. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons today why you should not ignore the possibility of selling used inventory within your shop. And at the very least, you should start to mix used bikes in with the new bikes that you are selling. Reason number 1, margin. The margin on new bike sales sucks. What used to be 40-45% margin is getting squeezed down to 35 and even below 30%. This, on top of increased shipping costs in recent years, means maintaining a healthy margin on the new bikes that you sell is becoming an ever increasing challenge. Used bikes, on the other hand, have way higher margins. They just take a little bit of elbow grease. It really is true that one man's trash is another man's treasure, and it's very easy to get inventory at a shockingly low expense. For example, we get a lot of hybrid style bikes traded into the shop that might have flat tires, need replaced rubber outright, have shifting issues, and to the person who's trading it in, it's not really worth anything. But then on our end, we have the expertise to put the proper TLC into these bikes and turn them into higher grade inventory. So even though it's a used bike, we might be able to put something together that can then sell for $400 to $500. So take this as an example. Let's say you're selling only new bikes in your shop, and you might have an average sale price of somewhere around $900 or $1,000. Maybe the way that looks is that you sell a whole lot of bikes in the $500-600 price point, like entry-level hybrids, and then you have a lower number of sales in the $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 price point. So if you're averaging somewhere around $1,000 a sale and you're getting a 30% margin, you're making $300 on average per bike sale. Look at used bikes on the flip side, and if you're selling a used bike for $400 that you purchased for $100, your margin's much higher, and even though your total sale price was lower, even though the perceived value is less, you still made that same $300 gap between what you paid for the bicycle and what you sold it for. So what you have with this is a huge win-win between both yourself and your customers. This is because they get a trustworthy bike at an affordable price, whereas you still get the same bang for your buck. So essentially, you're trading lower price point for higher margin, and you're coming out even in the wash. This is what we do here at our shop at Recycles Bikes, where we are able to essentially cater to an underserved demographic without sacrificing our bottom line. So margin is a huge thing in retail, and it's something that's been dying in the age of the internet. And selling used bikes is a great way to boost your margins back up, even if you don't move completely to a used model. Incorporating some of that in, you may feel like you're catering to a lower price point, but the reality is that $400 bike sale can easily make you as much or even more than that $1,000 bike sale. Next up is going to be that incorporating used inventory in your shop is unique. The truth is, there's almost no shops out there doing this, and it's really refreshing to the consumer. 90% of people are just looking for a basic bike that they can trust. They aren't looking for all the bells and whistles and all the extra gears. So even though you might be enthusiastic about all the tech that's going into these $1,000, $2,000, and $5,000 bikes, the typical Dave and Susan that's walking through your front door, they really don't care. To them, a bike is a bike, and if you can offer some competitive edge, such as selling used, that's gonna do most of your marketing for you. There's used car dealerships all over the place, but used bike shops are still few and far between. So you can start filling that gap in the market and offer something that's truly unique. The third reason you should incorporate used bikes into your inventory is independence. So I might ruffle some feathers here, but being a only used bike shop makes us a truly independent bike shop. There's a lot of stores out there that claim that they are independent, but the truth is If their parent retailer company decides to have a sale, they have to go along with that sale. They have to obey minimum authorized pricings, and at a worst case scenario, they even have to abide by minimum purchase requirements in order to keep their deal going with whatever retailer they're working with. As a used bike dealer, we have true independence, as in we completely control what inventory comes in, what comes out, and what price it sells for. So that independence is very valuable. We have in the past experimented with certain bikes that sell through distributors like QBP, such as Surly, because we do find that with used bikes in particular, there can sometimes be gaps in the market. And with the increase in the popularity of gravel bikes over the last few years, we did incorporate some Surly bikes into our inventory. But we found that between the crappy margin and the lack of independence, it really didn't work out for us. Even if we did manage to sell a Surly at full price, we'd only manage about a 32% margin. However, we did have to abide by Surly's sales whenever they decided to go 20% off. We would have a bike on the floor that we paid full dealer price for, and now we have to sell it at 20% off retail. And suddenly we're in a situation where we bought a bike for $650 that we're selling for like $800, and that's just not worth it. We're tying 5 times as much into a bike that's making us half as much net profit. Honestly, it was a very eye-opening experience to why bike shops are struggling around the world. In an age where everything's moving online, you do need to find ways to recoup your margin, and used bikes are a phenomenal way of doing that while providing a very unique item to an underserved demographic in the marketplace. So if this video has convinced you to give it a try, just put a handful of used bikes in your inventory at the $400 to $600 price point, and you'll be surprised how you can convert a sale that would have otherwise been lost at somebody who came in and experienced sticker shock looking at the new inventory in your store. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and if you're looking to start or scale your bike shop, check out the links below.